A massive safety net will be placed under every Australian worker to ensure they get at least $1,500 a fortnight in their pocket to ensure they remain in work.
The JobKeeper program is worth a staggering $130 billion, an historic cash injection to prevent an economic catastrophe.
The breathtaking numbers just keep mounting.
$130 billion over the next 6 months.
As the federal government tries to build a floor under the collapse of the Australian economy.
Okay, so the economy doesn't look good at the moment and things are looking pretty dire. We're seeing people lose their jobs, we're seeing businesses shut down. So things look bad at the moment and the government's just going to find ways to try and reduce the situation so everyone else is better off. So as you can see here on this image, we got people falling down. What they want to do is pretty much catch them before they do any damage to themselves or everyone else around them.
Now is the time to dig deep.
After doubling the JobSeeker allowance just 7 days ago, today...
With JobSeeker before COVID-19, single people could receive $565.70, which equates to just over $40 a day. But if you had a child under your possession, you're still single, you get $612, which was just below $44 a day. Same thing if you're over 60, and if you and your partner were unemployed, you both get about $510.80 each, which is, I believe, just underneath $40 a day. In order to qualify to receive JobSeeker, you have to be aged between 22 and the age pension age. You have to meet the residence rules requirements, which is Australian permanent residents or Australian citizen, and some New Zealand folk who entered before 2001. And also, you're not allowed to have a huge savings account or a large amount of assets or investments under your name in order to receive these payments. Now, part of the condition in order to receive JobSeeker payments is that you have to be actively seeking work, meaning you have to prove to the government that you're constantly putting applications for jobs in order to receive these payments. And of course today, the government has now announced that they're going to give people on JobSeeker payments a bonus of about double the amount they normally will receive. And at the moment, you don't actually have to actively be seeking work and putting job applications in order to receive these benefits. So until the end of September, you could literally turn up to Centrelink, say you're unemployed, and start getting these benefits straight away.
7 days ago, today the Prime Minister moved to prop up the national wage bill.
To support the jobs and livelihoods of what we anticipate of being almost 6 million Australians.
Building a safety net under half the Australian workforce with $1,500 for each full-time, part-time or casual worker of 12 months standing.
Alright, so Channel 9 made a few mistakes here. First off, the JobKeeper payments is not $1,500 a week, it's $1,500 a fortnight, which equates to about $750 a week. Is this a lot of money? Well, not really, because the average Australian earns about $1,600 a week.
To businesses and sole traders whose turnover has fallen by 30% or 50% for businesses with a turnover above $1 billion.
Turnover is just a fancy way of saying the amount of sales they make.
And is the equivalent of around 70% of the median wage and represents about 100% of the median wage in those sectors most heavily impacted by the coronavirus, like retail, like hospitality and tourism.
To find out whether you're eligible, go to the Australian Taxation Office website.
From today, employers and sole traders will be able to apply to the Australian Tax Office for workers that are on their books as of the 1st of March.
It all adds up to an extraordinary intervention by government. The cash splash began with a $2.5 billion health package. 2 days later came $17 billion in stimulus. 11 days on, $66 billion was spent on a rescue plan as Centrelink lines grew. Then $1 billion on health yesterday, all trumped today by $130 billion, for a total of $217 billion committed in less than a month.
You're probably asking, is that a lot of money? Well, I'll tell you now. Yeah, it is. The government makes about $500 billion in tax revenue every year, so that's how much money they have to spend. The problem is, throughout the year, they've already spent all of that money in order to just sustain our economy how it is right now, in terms of like education spending, essential services, you name it. And of course, in March alone, we spent nearly half of our income just supporting the economy during this crisis. Because of the unexpected hit from COVID, the government has spent more than it actually earned this financial period, which is not a good sign. Currently, the government owes about $550 billion in debt, and this could escalate to over $1 trillion. Just to put this in perspective, they say it might take about 20 years for us to repay this if we have a solid economic run for the next 20 years, which doesn't seem very feasible.
And when the Reserve Bank's cash is included, the sum is extraordinary.
More than $320 billion, or 16.4% of GDP.
The money is also a measure of the government's fear that the damage from the deliberate shutdown of Australia's economy will be profound, because today it effectively bought a stake in every failing business.
We are working now to a whole new set of rules.
Parliament will be recalled to pass the package, but Labor is on board.
We will support any additional measures which get more help to more Australians more quickly.
And it might not be the end of the assistance that will be needed to fight a health and economic emergency.
We still do not know the many other challenges we will face in the months ahead.
The nation is now deep in uncharted waters.
Alright, so the government's plan is to spend about $200 billion, and hopefully it'll help keep everyone's lifestyles and living standards fairly good. So ScoMo has a tough gig, and it's not going to be easy. There's going to be flaws in the system that you'll discover throughout your research, and other issues that arise as a result of COVID-19. Your job throughout this term is to find key areas that the government should be putting all their focus on, and provide policies to fix those key areas of concern to make our country great again. Good luck.